Hello and welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the Whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is Black Minds News Report. Black Minds News Report is to articulate, insinuate, develop, investigate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether by news, video, website, or quotes from publication. As I articulate this information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that we call the United States, we, the foundational black Americans, the black historical lineage known as BADOS, ADOS, we, the today's children, offspring, and present generation, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what the motto of my show is? I'm never gonna tell you what I heard. I'm only gonna tell you what I know. Today's date is December the 4th, 2019. Breaking news. Did you hear? George Zimmerman is going to sue for $100 million against those that brought prosecution against him. I'm going to say that again. George Zimmerman is filing a $100 million lawsuit against the family, the Martins, the lawyers with Crump, the 4th District. So, sit back as Black Minds News is going to disseminate this information. Stay tuned as we get into this report.
Latest in the George Zimmerman murder trial, an emotional and very difficult day for the prosecution's star witness who was talking with Treyvon Martin just before he was shot. She got a grilling from the defense, and ABC's Matt Gutman is in Sanford, Florida with a look at it all. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Josh. Analysts tell us that Rachel Jantel's testimony is the biggest thing standing between George Zimmerman and an acquittal. That's because she says Zimmerman followed and then confronted Martin that night. It's one reason his defense team works so relentlessly to discredit her.
For the second straight day, George Zimmerman's attorney kept Rachel Jantel up on the stand in order to tear her down.
That's why you didn't do anything. It was because Trayvon Martin started the fight and you knew that.
Objection, compound question, badgering the witness.
Jantel was on the phone with Trayvon Martin in the seconds before neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman shot him. The prosecution's star witness says Martin told her he was being followed and that she then heard Zimmerman confront him. During a heated cross-examination lasting more than 5 hours.
Are you claiming in any way that you don't understand English?
I understand you.
Zimmerman's legal team tried to hack away at her credibility.
You said that it could have been, for all you know, Trayvon Martin smashing George Zimmerman in the face is what you actually heard.
What?
Yeah, just earlier today.
By who?
By you.
You ain't get that from me?
And in a jarring exchange, defense attorney Don West accused the 19-year-old of lying about a letter she says she wrote to Martin's mother, explaining what she saw that night.
You didn't even tell the prosecutor about it?
No.
West asked her to read the letter, which she had a friend help her write. She could not.
Are you unable to read that at all?
Some of them, I do not.
Can you read any of the words on it?
I don't understand. Curses. I don't read curses.
Later this morning, ABC News has learned jurors are expected to hear from this man, Chris Serino, the lead homicide investigator on the case. In the days after the shooting, Zimmerman, who pleaded not guilty, recorded this reenactment video showing Serino how he says Martin attacked him.
He just kept
slamming his head into the pavement, saying he only shot in self-defense.
Now, Serino was skeptical of Zimmerman's claim that he had to shoot Martin because he was locked in some sort of life and death struggle. That's the reason he recommended manslaughter charges against Zimmerman. Now, Serino could take the stand later today. Josh.
And we'll be watching Matt Gutman there in Sanford. We want to turn now to ABC's chief legal affairs anchor, Dan Abrams. And Dan, again, Rachel Jantel, more composed than the first day on that witness stand, but 7 long hours being grilled. What did it do to the prosecution's
Look,
case?
She's a flawed witness. This is not the witness that you want if you're the prosecution, and this is the last person that spoke to Treyvon Martin. There are inconsistencies in her story. As you heard, she was attacked again and again on cross-examination. With that said, you saw that section there where she talks about the fact she can't read cursive. She doesn't seem educated, but don't underestimate her. She was still smart in the sense that there were times when the defense attorney was trying to ask her questions to get her to admit things, and she caught it. She would say, no, wait, that's not what I said. And so while she's not someone who is worldly, so to speak, she understood what she was being asked. She understood the questions, and she took on the defense attorney again and again as he was trying to question her.
Now, we've called Rachel Jantel the most important witness for the prosecution's case, but there was some more testimony yesterday that may have helped buttress the idea that George Zimmerman was the aggressor here.
Right, that's the big question. And another witness said that she believed that George Zimmerman was the one who was on top when they were fighting. That's one of the key questions. Everyone agrees there was a confrontation. Yep. They don't agree exactly when did it start, where did it start, and who was on top. And the defense's position is that it was Treyvon Martin who attacked George Zimmerman. If prosecution can show Zimmerman was on top, it's an important point.
George Zimmerman suing Trayvon Martin's family for $100 million after filmmaker claims witness faked. You know I'm going to say that again. George Zimmerman suing Trayvon Martin's family for $100 million after filmmaker claims witness fake. This story is coming out of the Orlando Sentinel. Today's date, December the 4th, 2019, and this is how this is going to read. George Zimmerman is filing a $100 million lawsuit against Trayvon Martin's family and officials involved in prosecuting him for the teenager's 2012 killing, after a filmmaker known for conspiracy theories claimed that a key witness in the case was faked, according to a South Florida attorney. The suit names a slew of defendants, including Trayvon Martin's parents, Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, the attorney who represented them after his killing, Benjamin Crump, former Fourth Circuit State Attorney Angela Corey, and 2 prosecutors who tried Zimmerman from her office, John Guy and Bernie Della Rianda. Zimmerman killed the Miami Gardens 17-year-old inside the retreat at Twin Lakes Community in Sanford on February 26, 2012. Prosecutors said Zimmerman profiled, pursued, and killed Trayvon after calling police to report him as suspicious. Zimmerman said he fired in self-defense after Trayvon attacked him. Filed by Boca Raton attorney Larry Clayman, the suit centers on the claims that Rachel Jantel, who testified she was on the phone with Trayvon during his fatal confrontation with Zimmerman, was a fraud. The suit alleges Trayvon was on the phone with a different person, Brittany Diamond Eugene. Both Jantel and Eugene are also named as defendant in the suit. Defendants instituted, ordered, commanded, conspired, and covered up the illegal substitution of defendant Gene, a legitimate phone witness to the days, hours, and minutes before the death of Trayvon Martin with defendant Jantel an imposter and fake witness who told and made to order false storyline to prosecutors in order to cause Zimmerman to be arrested, tried, and convicted for the second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, the suit says. The suit indicates it is being filed in Polk County Circuit Court. It did not yet appear in the online docket as of about noon Wednesday. Claimant announced a press conference to be held Thursday in Coral Gables. Claimant credited the suit central claim to a book and film titled The Treyvon Hoax, which were published by director Joel Gilbert. Other documentaries by Gilbert includes 2012's Dreams from My Real Father, based on the unsubstantiated theory that President Barack Obama's father was not Kenyan economist Barack Obama Sr., but rather an American communist. Crump didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Zimmerman was acquitted of murder at trial in 2013. Right, so we are back, right? So there it is, giving it a layup on that, right? So we see that George Zimmerman is filing a $100 million lawsuit against the Trayvon Martin's family. We see that, again, this is involved about the official involvement of the prosecuting him for, they say, Trayvon Martin, the killing of 2012. And they said after a filmmaker who was known for his conspiracy theories claimed that the key witness in the case was faked. Now, this was according to a South Florida attorney. And we see that the people that were named in this lawsuit, and it's Sabrina Fulton, you have Tracy Martin, that was the parents of Trayvon. You have the attorney, Benjamin Crump. They also named that the Fourth Circuit State Attorney, Angela Corey. And they talk about two other prosecutors, John Guy and Bernie de la Rionda. Now, again, for those who, again, don't know anything about the George Zimmerman case, again, this was a story that goes back, stemming back to 2012, February 26th. Was in, they call it the Miami Gardens, where 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, who was returning, according to the story, with the retreat at the Twins Lake community that was in Sanford. And on that particular night, George Zimmerman, according to what he had stated, he was on his way going to Target, right? They would do their family shopping, and had seen Trayvon come in between, as he said, 1460 Circle View Drive. Now, for those, again, who are avid watchers of my show, I had did and solved the 4-minute mystery of the Trayvon Martin case, where when you watch those who watched the entirety of what had been, I guess you say, presented to the nation, they'll cut off a lot of that. And what I did is I solved where it made seem that Trayvon Martin could have gotten away in 4 minutes, but they did not really tell the entirety of it. But I show you every intricate aspects to it and all the evidence that points to exactly what I stated. So if anybody's interested in that, the Trayvon Martin 4-minute mystery solved. Mr. Blows Your Mind. Check that out. So what we see is, accordingly, George Zimmerman, who's supposed to be considered a neighborhood watch, sees Trayvon, according to his said the history, that there had been burglaries recently in the neighborhood. And so his suspicion of seeing Trayvon, but again, it's dark, it's kind of raining that night, and his assumption, he assumes that Trayvon is somebody who doesn't belong there. But looking in hindsight today, 2019, December 4th, and after I had did the video, I know for a fact that George Zimmerman's assumption was wrong. Now, what took place, transpired, is based on his assumption. Because remember, he's on the telephone calling the operator and saying he's being able to see Trayvon, he's coming across his vehicle, right? So how does one who's on the telephone get outside and get into a position to be even attacked? Because if you go back and you hear that the operator says, are you following him? Yeah, we don't need you to do that. But if you hear my video, you will hear how I give you everything present to let you understand everything that took place that they did not put in this trial. Okay? So what you have is an individual who's trying to say that based on what happened on February 26, 2012, that evening, that he was in, as he said, stand his ground, defending his position. But what seems like everybody is skewing, those who don't take the side of Trayvon, is did not Trayvon Martin have the position to defend himself? I'm going to say that again. Here is the assumption of George Zimmerman, based on what he's doing as a so-called neighborhood watch, accosting an individual that under his suspicion of what his assumption he thinks, which he is wrong, because Trayvon Martin has the right, and they say right is an abstract thought, but he has the right to be in where he's at. He's in there visiting with his father. That means that the assumption that was made by George Zimmerman created the whole scenario. Now, the individual who they saying that this is based on, well, we would put it this way. Rachel Jantel is what you've seen in the beginning of the video, of this video. There was a testimony of Rachel Jantel when she got on the witness stand, and they grilled her, as they said, for 7 hours. So what they did is they tried to use the simple fact that, again, she did say she was one of the worst witness he could have. She was not very educated. You know how certain people like to say, because black people do not speak the Queen's English correctly, as if we didn't have our own tongue, lost that tongue, we have our own mind and so forth. So based on that, because you do not speak the Queen's English, right? You're not a very lettered person, even though we don't understand. People act as if like historically we don't understand, while a lot of the American black people are not as fortunate to have the economics to afford themselves a better education. But she did have this sense of understanding that was most of black people, especially those of the long FBA, B1, BADOS, ADOS of this land, we have. May not be able to be articulate as to the higher of education, but we have that sense of truth. And that's something that people cannot deny. That's why they know when black people come collectively on a position, you can put 9 out of 10. That position, that stance is correct. So, based on what you've seen in that video of her taking that stance, they went at her credibility to try to discredit her. What she was kind of known for. A lot of people laughed at the fact that they talked about how Trayvon said this creepy cracker that was trailing him. Now, you got to remember, he didn't know who was in that vehicle. Based on what your assumption, everybody's only looking at from your position, but what about Trayvon's position? Did he not have the right to defend himself? He knew not you from Adam. And so, based on her being the last person to speak to Trayvon Martin, she became the key witness in that testimony of that case. And so they had to chip away at her. Now we see here, December 4th, 2019, filed in Boca Raton, this attorney, Larry Klayman. The suit is centered on the claim that Rachel Jantel, who you seen in the video, who testified about being on the phone with Trayvon Martin the night of the fatal confrontation, this suit that they're filing alleges that she was really not on the telephone. I'm going to say that again. According to what they filed in, what they say, Boca Raton, this Boca Raton attorney named Larry Klayman, the claim is that Rachel Jantel, who that sat on that stand for 7 hours to testify on behalf that she was the individual on the phone talking to Trayvon Martin, now they coming back now, and this suit is alleging that Trayvon was not on the phone with Rachel Jantel. They named a person named Brittany Diamond Eugene. Brittany Diamond Eugene is the person that they're claiming was the individual who was really on the phone. Now, remember, as you saw in the video, you heard, if you were paying close attention, that's what we do over here with Black Minds News. We get you to learn how to hear and be able to discern certain points when people are making. Now, in that video, you heard when they talked about the letter. Remember they talked about her, and she said she can't read cursive. There's a person there, and I'm only speculating because I can't say for 100% fact that is Brittany Diamond, who is the one that's probably writing this. So according to this here, they're saying that they're going to also have them both in this suit, Rachel Jantel and both Brittany Diamond Eugene. And they said that these defendants instituted, ordered, commanded, and conspired and covered up the illegal substitution of Eugene. So basically, Jantel took in the place of Eugene. That's why when they presented that letter in court, I'm assuming that they trying to substantiate that they knew that she was not there and it was somebody else that probably didn't have what it takes to take the pressure and stand. And Jantel was like, she taking one for the team, right? And so what we see now that they are now saying that the legitimate phone witness to the day and hours and minutes before the death of Trayvon Martin, they saying that Rachel Jantel is an imposter. She's a fake witness, right? So accordingly, what they also say in this article, they say that they was told and made and ordered a false storyline to prosecutors in order to cause Zimmerman to be arrested. So they said, again, as you heard in the video, was going back in 2012, that they created that and needed somebody who would be able to stand in. And according to this assumption, she said she would do it. And so now he's going to come back and say, well, I'm going to discredit the fact that they swapped this person. This person got in and perjured on the stand and was not really there, right? So they filed this in Polk County Circuit Court. It wasn't until about noon on Wednesday when it finally was being presented. And then they say that this claimant has announced a press conference to be held Thursday in Coral Gable. That is coming up. You know, we as Black Minds News will disseminate, and when that story breaks, we will present it right here for those who like what you hear over here. And we see that this claimant, he has been credited the suit central claims book of the film titled Trayvon Hoax. Now, this is the individual whose film is called The Trayvon Hoax, and published by a director named Joel Gilbert. And Gilbert has other type of documentaries that he so supposedly created. In 2012, he also did a documentary called Dreams from My Real Father, which they say was not substantiated in what he was saying, but it's kind of a conspiracy theory that President Barack Obama's father was not a Kenyan economist, Barack Obama Sr., right? So they say his Kenya father was not his father, but there's actually another individual that those who have done some research, they talked about an individual that he was talking about, an uncle. They believe that is to be his father. And they said he was an American economist, and that was something that he wrote. So he's kind of a conspiracy theorist, and that doesn't necessarily mean that a person who is under conspiracy or who presents conspiracy are not really truthful. But I think a lot of times people do is they try to discredit people and say conspiracy to try to chide off to give them credibility, because not every conspiracy is, out there where it's not real. So we see also that Benjamin Crump is being named. They done got out to him. He has not responded to it or nothing like that. And so, you got to ask yourself, it's kind of like in the story in the Bible talking about the burning wreath on one's head. So here's an individual who seems that he's still worried about the credibility of what people said after he's been acquitted. Now, again, I understand the fact that somebody say, well, I'm innocent, and if people want to keep trying to throw dirt on my name, and I can prove the fact that what they're saying is not factual, and then I guess I'll use the system to award me economically for what they call that defamation of my character, right? And so let's look at that. So again, as I was stating earlier about, here's the scenario. Did Trayvon Martin have the right to defend himself not knowing who you was? Based on your assumption of what you thought, now that looking in hindsight, we can say you were wrong. If you got out your vehicle to accost a man, and this man has no knowledge of who you was, as Rachel Jantel, the creepy cracker, and you accost him, does he not have the right to defend himself to get you off of him? Was you not warned to stay in your vehicle and allow the proper authorities to handle and do the job? You were so worried about them getting away, but you're not police, right? Now, based on the two assumptions, your assumption and the right of Trayvon Martin, what they say right is an abstract thought, but in the sense of right and wrong and how we look and determine things, Trayvon Martin had all the right to defend himself because he didn't know you from Adam. Now, based on your assumption you was wrong, and then somebody who's defending himself and then they getting the best of you, and now you want to cry the boy who cried wolf and say, I was defending myself, I think you put yourself in a position to be in that position, right? Looking in hindsight and looking at yourself, can you not look at oneself and say, maybe I was wrong? I know his father lived there, so that means he had a reason to be there. So that means that maybe I was wrong. No, that doesn't come across anyone's mind that you were wrong. So in that video, when you heard of the news clip, they try to say, well, whether Trayvon was on top or not, it has nothing to do with whether he was on top or not. The point is, you don't want to give Trayvon Martin the right to defend himself. This man was in the wrong. He was there with his father, had all the right to be there. The assumption that was made by George Zimmerman was wrong, totally wrong. He got out of his vehicle not once, but twice. And yet says that he was accosted by a man who knew nothing who you was. What was your reason for being there and accosting him? You don't know you from Adam. I'm going to defend myself. I don't care what capacity you in unless you identify yourself. But that had not been done. So now somebody getting the best of you, if that's what you want to say, then you got to charge it to the game. But no, you can't. It's because now you might have won the case from the judicial situation, but when it comes to right, wrong, spirit, and that beyond, which all or many will believe is after this life, you can't sell that. You ain't going to be able to, make up and conspire to try to make a square peg fall in a round hole. It's not going to work. And so Benjamin Crump just recently put out a book. So maybe he wants some of that money. And basically you just want to say, well, hey, maybe he can prove that. What if that should be true? Does that change the fact of Trayvon Martin's position? Let's say that Rachel Jantel did take the place of Brittany. She took one for the team. Maybe Brittany wasn't strong enough, wasn't built like that to go up there. And Rachel, you know, big girl, she the one, you know what I'm saying? She the one to go out there, she the bone crusher. She gonna take one for the team. And she did, right? Because it's not condoning what was wrong about her position. It was wrong in the simple fact that how your assumption led to the death of somebody, but you want to cry self-defense when you the one created the whole scenario. There's no accountability on your behalf. Where's the accountability on your behalf? Well, y'all tell me what you think. You can like the video, dislike the video, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification button, because again, Black Minds News is trying to do this and be on everything from this point forward. You know that YouTube is doing a lot of things to change everything. So what we're trying to do is just be ready, hoping that we are all on the right side of this. And again, want to thank each and every one of you, especially my subscribers, old and new. What's good, fam? We're trying to do this a little different way so that we can draw a little bit more. Passerbys, again, you can go down the aisle, see some of the things that we got. Go down the aisle, see some things you might like. If you see something that make you feel some kind of way, remember the motto of the show is, the truth don't need no partner. And let's go ahead and get ourselves and get up out of here. Ready, sir? Hit it. Hit it. You gonna hit it? Come on with it. There we go. All right. So, again, this has been another Black Minds News Report. I am your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds. I want to thank each and every one of you personally for clicking on the video. Again, do what you got to do to, spread the news. So, again, when you see one another, greet your brother. What's good, brother? What's good, sister? If you can't do that much, just give a universal nod. You know how we be doing, right? Understand that we are all in this, and we are in this together. Yes, some of us got allies out here. But those who got allies out here, there's a certain things you're going to have to ask those that you say are your allies. One, when shit get hot, and if shit get hot, are you still going to be in the frying pan with us? Two, ask them, have they ever heard of John Brown? Is John Brown real, or is that just something white folks told black folks to make you think that somebody white would sacrifice himself and his family for the better good of what the suffering and historical has been laid on black folks? Because I've never, ever seen a story or movie on John Brown. I've seen Django, who they say is something as in some part towards it, but where is the movie of John Brown? Why is it that white folks don't want nobody to know that white man went all out like that? Ask yourself. So again, you know that we are dawning on the time. There are some people who are here who are seeking for our demise. So it is incumbent that we stay high-minded, vigilant, and ready to do. Again, this is the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. And to the next show, to the next show.